What is going on, everyone? This is a ExxonMobil stock review post earnings. ExxonMobil beat the estimates in earnings per share by 28 cents, fell short in revenue, a little over $5 billion. So right now we're going to see where we end up. The first reaction to the earnings was an uptrend, was an up move. And then now we've taken it back down in the pre-market to a level where we found ourselves last week, Friday, at 101.60. Looking at the 30-minute chart here, considering or including the pre-market, if we look at the daily chart, we can definitely see that ExxonMobil is back in the range where we traded earlier last week and late last week. We're back in the range where the FOMC and earnings has brought us back into to some optimal buying entries for this particular stock. So 101.63 is right at the bottom of this daily candle in terms of the high and low fib. So 101.63, and then you can see where this orange line is right in between the 0 fib and the 0.236 fib. So at this point, what we want is for the investors who may have been short due to earnings to possibly get off and sell so that the bulls can take it back up to where we were at 104.88 earlier this week before FOMC. This is not going to be a long video because I do want to see how this plays out in today's session. So I've made a couple videos before this, but I just wanted to keep it short and concise. But at the same time, we want to look at it from a viewpoint or a standpoint where even though we're trading lower than we close in the pre-market, as we go into today's session with the reported earnings that we had, a lot of people may only be concerned about the earnings per share. Some people may be concerned about revenue, but revenue wasn't off that far from the projections. If you look at some of the news headlines, Exxon beats estimates, ends 2023 with a $36 million profit. So what we are seeing here is that a lot of situations don't always mean that, stocks should sell off. $36 billion in profit is nothing to sneeze at. So what we need to know or understand is that the investors who may have been short could possibly be selling in the pre-market. I have no idea. We have to look at today's session and then get retail in to see where we're going. But this isn't like a crowd favorite. It's not like the sexy ticker. But when it moves, it moves. It gives you a nice barrier of entry, and it returns nice profits. So at the same time, what you need to understand is that this is more or less a long-term hold. A level, like I said on yesterday's video, 103.73 is a great level. 102.39, 102.40 was the level that I built out for you yesterday. And where did we finish? 102.39. So I don't know how this works. I don't know how I'm able to. The only thing that I need to do is when the market is open, follow my own advice. But other than that, the technical advice, if you are a good rules follower, if you're great with patience and things like that, and if you don't look at the market as an easy way out just to make quick money and then throw it in everybody's face, if you look at this like a learning experience, you can definitely come out on top all the time if you know probability, if you read the charts well. Again, if you have enough money to say like, I don't need to make hundreds and thousands of dollars a day. If you're good with 20-30% on $100 every day, but just a steady increase in your profits and your gains, this is more or less like a stock for you too, because it does fail some key levels, but then it, with good news and certain things, it brings those levels back. But we've seen, this stock fall from 120 to below 100, you know, just off of earnings and bad news. And then now where we're back in somewhat of an uptrend, back to a respectable level of, let's just say, $110, or even just over 105, 103, 104. These are the levels that I think this stock belongs. I don't think it belongs in the low 90s or below $100 at this point, with the valuations, the acquisitions that it's making, and the amount of cash that it can get, it has access to. I mean, everyone talks about oil. Everyone talks about, you know, how oil may be phasing out dogs. But if I look at a company who can project $90 billion a quarter, like, how is that sure? Like, how is that something to sneeze at? Why wouldn't you invest in a company who can project $90 billion a quarter? Something you use every single day, especially if you're in the South like me, or in just rural areas, places where you need to drive. You rely on companies like this to get you back and forth to work, to power your business vehicles, company vehicles, buses, etc. So, like, what are we talking about here? So investors, get on the train. You know, I'm generally bullish on this stock, but as you can see, it took a little dip. But again, on a 30-minute perspective, once it hit earnings, it did show you $103.55. So it showed you the sentiment here when earnings took off, or when earnings dropped. It showed you 103.55 on the chart, but then it sold off. Let's see if this buying sentiment here, and here brings us back to respectable levels. As you can see, my levels are still in play. 101.46, 101.22. It wicked here. 101.46. My fib levels are still okay. 101.63, 102.18, 102.56. Yesterday's OTE level was 102.79. We obviously lost that in the pre-market, but let's see where we open. The market opens in 15 minutes from the time of this video, and should be posted by the time, or should be uploaded to YouTube by the time that the market opens. So I should be able to do a video either after today's session or tomorrow. But even as you can see, and let me remove my drawings because it closed at that, but I believe that's a wick up there. So hold on, let me take my drawings off real quick. Yo. So with the earnings, and you can see this candle in the pre-market wick from 103.59 to 105.12. I'm interested to see what happens. This is kind of crazy. So, all right, I'm going to post this video. I'm going to get off, and then I'm going to join the market, and we'll see you afterwards. Peace. That's why me.